Now, I'd like to zoom out for a second and ask a very basic question. Who the hell is running this whole Theme Camp Symposium thing anyway? To answer that question, let's meet them. The Theme Camp Development and Support Council. Get up on stage, y'all.
Hi, everybody. Is this mic hot? Oh, it's hot. Hello, everybody. Hi. Oh, my gosh. Hi. So excited to see you all. I am really excited to introduce you to the camp development and support team who have been working so hard, not only on this event, and we're going to actually come and pop in throughout the plenary program to tell you all the amazing things that this team has been working on, but this is the crew who this year has run the Theme Camp Symposium. So we're going to do quick introductions, and then we're just going to tell you a little bit more about that. If you don't know me, I'm Trippy Longstocking. Hi, and I am the outgoing placement manager. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second. I'm an associate director at Burning Man, and I am the staff member for this fine crew of people.
Thank you, Trippy. Howdy, y'all. I'm Candy Ass. Been coming to Burning Man since '97. I'm old as dirt. I now bring my twins to Burning Man. They've only known their birthdays on Playa, so if you see a little electric land speeder cruising by with like 2-year-olds in it next year and it blows your frickin' mind, those are my kids.
What's your camp?
Oh, I'm Bliss Retirement Village.
And I'm Dilemma from Paradise Motel. And I wrangled Miriam into coming here today, and I'm really appreciative that she did it. I've been burning since 2004, started a camp in 2008, and they asked me to be on the camp development support council. Did you say council or team? I think council.
You're on the council.
I think they asked me to be on it because I've managed to make every mistake you can make with a theme camp, so I know what not to do. So I'm great for that. And my partner, Gonzalo, sometimes asks me why I'm doing all this stuff, and I wonder myself, but one of the most wonderful things about the CDS team, is working with a great group of people, that there's a lot of trust, and we haven't had any arguments yet. I'm jinxing things. But then, and to have Trippy as a leader and a sort of a mentor, and sometimes at work I think, what would Trippy do in a situation like this? And I'm going to use the last part of my time, and we just need to really, y'all need to know how wonderful it is. She's the most organized and beautiful person to work with. So.
My name is Pele, and I used to run a camp called Red Lightning. I agree. Trippy's really great at curating people, and if anything,
talk about yourself.
This is me talking about you. I think it's just really important, such a diverse community, of being able to curate a team of people. And this team is really, really fun to work with. I'm on the networking part, which we'll hear about soon, with Ali. So,
hi, everybody. I'm Ali. We do the Casbah at Burning Man. It's on the 10 o'clock side. It's, among other things, it's a sound camp and an attempt to contact aliens with lasers. We'll let you know how it goes. This team is awesome. I'm the Black Ops guy. Everybody else kind of I'm just learning from them. This will be my 9th burn and our 7th with Casbah. And I'm going to pass it right along.
Hi, I'm Yeti. Started burning in 2004 and started a camp in 2005. Became Dr. Carl's Department of Collections, and then a village 2015, I think, the BRC HOA. And we're actually, it's a lot of paperwork, a lot of red tape, and really excited to be part of this team because we're excited to help all the theme camps do whatever they want to be doing.
Hey, y'all, I'm Fixer from Root Pile Camp. We bring live bluegrass music and Southern food and culture to the burn, and our mission is to reinforce bad and good stereotypes of hillbilly culture. So come by and see us. And I think they wanted me on this team because they didn't have a banjo player. So I'm trying to fill that role. But I think an important thing for y'all to understand about the CDS team is that we're going to be the team, or we are the team that helps you as TCOs and mayors and all that to interface with the rest of the board, with BMorg. So this team is like DPW or GATE or placement or whatever, but it's you guys' team, okay? So we're trying to help you guys interface with the rest of Burning Man, not just placement. So if you ask questions of us, sometimes we'll send those to placement or the proper person, but remember that's what we're trying to do. And this is a very important team. I'm really excited that there's now a team just for us, right?
I'm Captain Vic. I came to the Playa first in 2002. I've been a leader of the Children of Chaos Theme Camp since 2003, and I'm delighted to be a part of the CDS.
Thank you. So, just want to quickly tell you a couple things. I want to tell you, if I can get this slide to move. Hey, that's our logo. Isn't it nice? Yeti Design that. So what we do, we support, develop, and connect the camp community in Black Rock City. And our ultimate goal is also camps in regional events, because camps are camps, wherever they are. So that's the goal, is the big camp network. That's who we're here to support. And just a couple quick facts about the Theme Camp Symposium this year. So we are all the content. You are all the content. It's kind of amazing how much work has gone in and the amazing volunteer team that's come together to put on this event. We've gone from 1 to 2 days. That's pretty amazing. We went from 6 to 28 breakout sessions. That is amazing. We went from no breakouts live stream to a full live stream by the amazing doc team. Can we give them a round of applause? We went from 3 people, it was Candy Ass, Dilemma, and Irina, who somewhere can wave, on the programming team last year, to 18 volunteers on our core programming team this year. Raise your hand if you were on the programming team. Please stand up. Woo, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Huge. And we went from 25 camp leaders speaking to over 85. Raise your hand if you're a speaker in a breakout. Wow, this is awesome. So I just wanted to give you some of those facts so that you can see what we're all about and what we're trying to do here this year. Thank you so much to the Camp Development Support Team. I'm going to let you all leave. I'm going to do a little spin. And the placement team's going to come up. Please, come on up, placers. Yay. All right. So how many of you know your placer? We have our local assortment of placers. There are many of us who are all over the country and even one all the way in London. So we're not all here. We don't have a ton of time, so I'm going to introduce you, if that sounds good. This is Level. And that's Bravo. That's Black Beauty. Do you know Excited? Excited's back. Brooklyn is also back on the team. Ew. And we have Machine. So, I just want to tell you a couple things about what we've been up to. A couple important updates for you. Let's see if I can get this to slide. Hey, there's our logo from last year. Isn't that cute? Blah, blah, blah. That's what we do. So, there's a couple things that we changed. If you read the placement newsletter, which I sent to you, you should know these things, but I just want to make sure that you do. So, the first thing is that we updated the placement criteria for the first time in a long time, right? So, we got more specific on what interactivity means, what it means to the placement team. And we actually have a panel right after this that's going to talk about what interactivity means philosophically from a camp perspective. So we don't claim to have the whole market on interactivity, but this is what we are looking for in terms of placement. We also changed the definition of a village to 2+ theme camps instead of 3. And we made a minimum, so you have to be at least 38 to 50 people to be considered a village. Ideally, villages will have 2 distinct frontages with those 2 camps so that we can make you long and skinny and have 2 sides, which is even better. More frontage, more interactivity, right? And if you want to share resources, we highly consider you buddying up and becoming a village with your friends. Camps and villages, we would love for you to submit your placement questionnaires this year, because next year we're going to require all camps and villages to submit a questionnaire so we have a full picture of what's going on in a village. We also updated the placement sectors information. And so there's now more detailed information about each sector, what kind of minimums you need to hit around your interactivity, your hours, et cetera, to be placed on a particular street type. All of that is in there now. And we also did some great work with the What, Where, When team, which is a compilation of tech and the communications team and us. And we have now changed the What, Where, When in a pretty big way. So the What, Where, When will now include a 100-character description of every placed and publicly listed theme camp and village. We heard that. There was a lot of feedback of, I was in it one year and I got all this foot traffic, and then the next year I wasn't, and it was crazy how little foot traffic I got, and I was in the same location. So this is a change. We're going to organize it by space, so it kind of becomes like a neighborhood guide. You're walking around and you're like, oh, what's going on here? So that's what's going on there. We will still have individual events, but we will just have less of them, because a lot of people were using the event listings kind of just to say what their interactivity was. So that's the plan. Does that sound good? All right, great. I'm really happy with these changes. I think they're pretty awesome. So with that, let's see. I have another announcement to make that I'm really excited about. So I'm the outgoing placement manager, and it's funny because 2 years ago, my first day on the job was the Theme Camp Symposium. And so now I get to do the same thing that happened to me to someone else, which is kind of hilarious. So we had some really fantastic candidates for this position. It's a hard job, I will say from experience. It is a really hard, beautiful job to do. And one person really took it to the next level, and I'm really excited to introduce them to you. You already know them because it's Level. How many of you love Level already? A lot of you, this has been your placer for a long time. I'm just so happy that we had such a strong, amazing internal candidate from our team. It's just so freaking amazing. So I'd love for him to say a little thing and tell you who he is if you don't know him, if he's not your placer.
Hi, everyone. Hello, new friends and old friends. I just want to say I've been on the placement team for the last 5 years. It's truly one of the best experiences you can have at Burning Man, to give back the way everyone up here does, to get to know all of you. We can only do so much without the information that you provide us. And so you guys are definitely what makes Burning Man Burning Man. And I'm so looking forward to helping to work with people that I consider friends up here and the whole placement team. I'm looking forward to seeing all the camps bring it again this coming year. And so a couple things that I wanted to make sure I said. One, shout out to 430. I think this is probably the last time I can say this, but it's definitely the best sector on the playa.
Now you have to be neutral.
Yeah, now the whole playa is great. So thank you to the 430 camps. You guys have taught me so much about every single stitch of Burning Man, and I know that's replicated all throughout the sectors in the city. And I'll be around all weekend, so please don't corner me and say, what do you have planned and what kind of big plans do you have? Because the truth is, this is a group process. We think long and hard about every single decision we make, and it's not something that the manager does alone. It's really something that the manager helps facilitate. And so if you have ideas, we're always open to hear them. I know I'm pretty active on Facebook too, and so thank you for those of you who've engaged with me there. But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm also really nervous. Please be kind. And I'm a professional city planner. Yeah, so this is a professional city that we're living in out in the desert. So thank you. Thank you, Trippy. I have big shoes to fill, and I can just ask, what would Trippy do? And she'll be right here.
I'll be with you. Thank you, everybody. Thanks.
interactivity. We're going to talk about interactivity now. I mean, one of the main reasons that we're all here is to learn new ways to inspire interactivity between theme camps and the city. We want people involved. As you guys now know, my camp does snow cones, but we don't just do snow cones because that would be very vanilla. We give out snow cones, especially if you show us your junk. There you go. That's called interactivity. So, to talk about interactivity, let's bring our panelists on stage and our moderator, Stuart Mangrum. Where are you guys at?
Okay, hey, hello everybody again. Nice to see you. It's been so long. Let me start by introducing our panelists. Starting with Laughing John, who's been burning since 1998. Yeah. Co-founder of BRC3PO, the Black Rock City 3 o'clock post office. A creative interactive theme camp that uses postal service as a means for interaction. Fun fact, in 2018, BRC3PO printed, stamped, and mailed 7,500 postcards to 62 countries, but that was just the side effect of thousands of creative interactions. Our next panelist is Extra Silky, an enthusiastic participant and theme camp leader for Liminal Labs. God, I just love that name. It's so fun to say. Celebrating their 20th year on Playa. Liminal means the space between, and every year they offer different types of interactivity to make that liminal space even weirder and better and always more fun. So thank you, Extra Silky, for joining us. And a theme camp organizer who probably needs no introduction, but I will introduce him anyway, Halcyon. This will be Halcyon's 22nd year at Burning Man. He has been making enculturation videos about the principles since 2001 and is co-founder of Pink Heart, a 100-person camp that has provided fuzzy pink safe spaces, iced cucumber water, and vegan ice cream for the past 10 years. All right. Thanks, guys, for joining us. All right, I'm going to sit down now. So we thought of a couple of questions ahead of time to get this going. We are going to turn it over to you guys. So I see the mic is back here. But a couple of questions just to sort of kick this thing off. The first question, I think we've all experienced camps where the interactivity was sort of an afterthought, maybe a little bit forced, and also the other side of that where it was all about the interactive experience. And everything in the camp seemed to support that. What advice do you have for people who want to be more of the second kind of camp where the interactivity drives everything else? John, you want to start us off?
Sure. As Stuart mentioned, he actually mentioned our mission. BRC3PO is a creative interaction theme camp that uses postal services as a means for interaction. So my first piece of advice is if you want to be a creative interaction theme camp, make that the center of what you're doing. But you have to have some means for interaction. We use postal services as a means for interaction. You could use bicycle repair as a means for action, or you could use serving coffee as a means for action or interaction. Whatever your kind of activity is, use that as a means for interaction. Another piece of advice I would have is really use your campmates to creatively brainstorm and experiment with new ways to interact. We're constantly doing this at BRC3PO. And because of this now, yes, there's creative interactions that happen at the window to our post office. If you haven't seen it, it's on one of the 3 o'clock plazas, and it looks like a giant post box with a stage that folds down. Some people had the idea of going out in front with people who are in line and interacting with them. They're kind of like the fluffers for the actual interaction at the windows. And then we have somebody who does like a morning talk show. We've got a sound system, and he interacts with people who are out on our plaza, and he makes announcements about our neighboring theme camps. We had someone, even the writing of postcards can be interactive. And sometimes people come to us and say, well, I don't know who I want to write a postcard to. I don't know anyone's address. And we say, do you know your address? Because why don't you write a postcard? We'll send it 6 months from now when you've totally forgotten it, and we call it a postcard to your future self, right? The thing you want to remember from the playa. So it's like there's so many different ways that can be interactive. And the final thing I'll mention is some people really like to be at the forefront of that interaction, and those people should have the energy for it. You really need that. But you also need people who are more in the backstage, and some people prefer that, who are creating the infrastructure and the systems and the organization and the things that need to happen for that interaction to take place. And so those people, their roles are just as important. So just those are a few things.
Thanks. Thank you, John. That's a great lead into a very closely related question. We'll just consider it an extension of that. But how does interactivity planning feed into the rest of your camp planning, into other aspects like how you do space design, how you acculturate people, how you do everything else about the camp when you put interactivity first? John, you got your hand up.
Yeah, well, so, like, we think of just basic conversations as part of our interactivity, and so we actually try to look at the way things are built. Even like our lighting is an area that we try to think about. How is things like the lighting going to impact the way that people are having conversations? How we don't have amplified music because we think that's going to affect the kind of interactivity that we want in the camp. So every department is really charged with how is this going to affect the interactive experiences that we're going to have. At the same time, we try to role model that the interactivity that we have planned, we want it to be improvisational and really role model the kind of things. If you're giving away swag, can you think of a way as you're doing it that can be a skit or something like that, and just role modeling these things so that we have a plan and we also have freedom for people to run with it.
Thanks. Extra Silky, you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, I did want to weigh in. I think that it's really important that we think about it in that it's not about the commodity, it's not about the sticker, it's not about the ice cream, it's about the experience. And you can create any kind of experience for your camp and by extension for the city. You don't want it to be the kind of thing where it's like, we're going to need a 20-hour shift from every camper in order to pull this nonsense off. It's not going to be a good experience for anybody. So think about your camp's experience and what playfulness you can bring to it. It doesn't matter if it's if it's the ice cream, if it's a stripper pole, if it's a bar, if it's a craft hut. Yeah, thank you. That it really comes down to just the opportunity for you to project your own thoughts and your own feelings on it, and that's what makes you a participant, right? And gives everybody else the ability to participate at their level too. I think what you said was really important, is that it's not always about the extrovert who's out front and pulling everybody in. Sometimes it's about the introvert who was at home 8 months before planning this all out on paper and figuring out the logistics to it to make it the best experience possible.
I want to say something about shift scheduling. And first, let me mention a couple of principles that I think are important. I'm a former professor, so excuse me for the little bit of a lecture here. But the design of systems, the structure of systems, is what leads to behavior, and that's what leads to the actual result. So if what you want to have is interaction, you've got to set up the structure of systems that lead to that behavior that then leads to that result, okay? So, and another principle I want to mention is that it's kind of our camp philosophy. Fun exists right where chaos and organization intersect. It's like, that's where fun is. It's like if you're too responsible, it's boring, and we actually become like a bureaucratic post office. That's no fun, right? If it's too chaos, then the organizational systems fall apart, and it's not sustainable for a week at Burning Man, right? So, but right at that intersection is where that fun dynamic, those kinds of conversations can happen. So this is all as a prelude to talk about shifts. So what we do is we tell people that their shift begins when they've really got the energy to interact. And their shift is over as soon as that energy starts to wane. And that can be a couple hours, or it could be 6 hours, or whatever it might be. But we want people who are there interacting, who really want to be there and have got the energy for it. And so therefore, when nobody wants to work a window, those are those few hours when we're closed. But it's so much fun that we're actually usually open about 18 to 20 hours a day. So it just works out. But we want people there who are ready to interact, and so we have this very loose scheduling system.
Yep. putting up the closed sign is a good lead into my next question, which is, and Halcyon, I know you like to phrase your camp's interactivity in the language of gifting, which I think is
Absolutely.
a great metaphor for it, or a great way of looking, a great lens of looking at it. But gifting, as we all know, sometimes can create a sense of obligation. So my question for all of you is, how do you keep the interaction from turning into a transaction, from maybe asking too much of your participants in return for whatever it is you're going to give them?
One of the things that we do, like I was noticing out front when there was a table of swag on it, and we put things put out for people to take, and we coach everyone in camp that we don't ever want to have a swag table and have people take things. We want to have an interaction where everything that we give, we want it to be an opportunity to have an interaction with somebody, so that this is a gift to someone. We don't ask people to do a skit or do a dance or anything like that to get ice cream. We do, however, if somebody asks us for a water bottle, we say absolutely not. We never give things to things that it's a request, because that's more transactional. But if you come up and you're thirsty and you don't have a water bottle, you might have your mind blown.
Extra Soki, you want to add to that?
Well, I think it goes back again to staying away from it being a commodity and having it be an experience, right? And it doesn't need to be a skit or whatever. But I think that, John, what you said about creating the system so that you can really get to the place of the interactivity is key. And one of the things that's been really important for my theme camp is that we change it up every year, because if it's going to be boring for us, it's going to be boring for the people that are coming into our camp too. And so we do different shit every year, almost every year. If something is amazing, we keep doing it. And if we're bored with it, I can guarantee that the city is going to be bored with it. By thinking about what would be really fun for us, I mean, we're burners. We like to have fun. And by realizing that, this is everybody's vacation, sometimes it's the only vacation that people are going to get all year. So we want to infuse it with as much crazy fun as possible, instead of it being sort of the acquisitive, oh, I came to your camp, what do you have for me experience. Like, that is such a dead zone.
Where's my gift?
Yeah, I got your gift right here.
But we all know, we've all experienced that, right? That I think it's particularly people who are newer to the culture and don't really kind of get our mode of gifting, or just like they think it's one big scavenger hunt and they got to get something from every camp. I'll tell you something we do in our camps. In Campo Misterioso, we had a rule of no to-go drinks. If somebody came in to get a drink, it was like, sit down and talk to us, or shut up, or get the hell out, right? At Eggs Bar up the street, I think they actually sometimes take people's shoes if they order a drink. So you have to give up one of your shoes, and it's behind the bar until you finish anyway. So what about the annual art theme? I'm curious about how that plays into your design of interactivity, if you metamorph your interactivity from year to year. Thank you, Daryl Van Ray. And just in a broader sense, how you evolve interactivity over time so that you keep it fresh.
Well, we spend a lot of time trying to get everybody on track with our mission statement, and this is like what we're generally trying to do, and then try to empower the people in the camp to, as you get inspired, to take it in the direction that is inspired by that you have the inspiration. So we don't have a huge plan of now we're changing direction based on the theme. We are trying to create a heart-opening experience for people. How then could that be done? How could we adjust our dome so it looks like this, that has to do with a theme? How could we create a side wall interactivity that is also what we want to do, but just a little tweak to it? But it's really, it's based on the year-round enculturation vibe of what we're trying to do at a core, more so than the theme.
So this year you're not just going to slap butterfly wings on it?
Oh, no, we are.
Okay. Thanks. I'm curious about what you guys think about that.
My camp is called Liminal Labs. Liminal, the space between, right? So it's interesting because it really lends itself to the theme this year, but it really does every year, right? Because people are in a state of transition when they're on playa. They're not in default, but they still have to behave a certain way. Don't come into my camp and punch me in the face, right? We have expectations of behavior, but I think that every theme camp is able to connect with the art theme in these great different ways. I'm kind of hoping that we don't just see a bunch of, butterflies and cockroaches out on the playa this year. I think there's so many different directions you can take it in, and I know for us, we like to go in just some pretty abstract directions. Literal themes seem kind of limiting when we're out there, so we kind of avoid that.
Thanks. Laughing John, do you want to add something to that?
Sure. So, we print thousands of postcards that we bring to the playa for people to fill out, and so that, there might be a postcard that has something to do with the theme. We're a creative interaction theme camp that uses postal services as a means for interaction. I probably say that tons every day, but we encourage a lot of experimentation around that. And so around the edges, we'll address the theme. Last year was iRobot. Our mascot at BRC3PO is C3PO. And I got actually a C3PO outfit. And as an example of one of those experiments, I, went out in my very proper way out in front of the post office as C3PO and interacted with the people who were waiting in line at Sunrise Diner for their breakfast sandwiches that went right in front of the post office. And what I discovered is that burners, before their first cup of coffee, they do not have a sense of humor.
So true. So true. Okay, quick suggestion. Post office is one of the world's greatest bureaucracies. I would go the Kafka route rather than the Ovid route.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah.
We're
so maybe the people have to fill out more forms to get their cockroach postcard.
We do really good forms.
Okay, I'm going to ask one more quick question for everybody, but then I'd like to turn it over to you. So if you have questions for our panel, go ahead and start lining up to our lovely, lonely microphone up here and get ready to ask our group of panelists a question. Thank you. My last question before we move to that section is pretty straight up, but perhaps harder to answer. I know firsthand this is just an incredible amount of work and sometimes heartbreak, heartache, expense. Why do you do it?
Because I genuinely believe this is the most effective tool and agent for changing the world for the better. And if I can train people, to practice the principles and open their hearts and blow people's minds and blow people's hearts open, and that creates ripples into the world, and that creates ripples into the default world, and I've seen it happen. It's like there is nothing more important to me.
Extra silky?
The reason I do it is because, first of all, I want to get a comment in here, which is, I see a lot of strong women in this audience, and hopefully a lot of strong women are following along on the live stream at home, and strong women support other women. And this is something that has always been true in Black Rock City, and it's really one of the appealing things about it. Coming up in my life, I had never held a power tool in my life, and I really like power tools now. So for me, it's an opportunity to make and to build. Like, when else do I get to build a city? Like, I get to invent and build and participate and create and build a city. That's not out there in default for me. That's only here.
Welcome to Burning Man, where the women will use power tools and the men wear skirts. And Laughing John.
So what I've discovered, what keeps me going back to Burning Man every year is actually those creative interactions, the connections that happen, and we have a great vehicle through our post office to have those connections. And I think we've all learned to become really good listeners. Some people, yes, you can really play with and have fun with, and you might invite them up on the stage to sing a song or whatever it might be that you're interacting with them around. But other people might come and they might be in a really lonely space, or something's happened to them where they're sad, and so you have a totally different kind of interaction with that person where you're really listening to them and giving them a chance to just express what they need to express. So you can go from one interaction where someone's crying at your window, just kind of releasing whatever they're going through, and the next person is, making fart noises or whatever. So, I mean, it's the range is just amazing. So that's why I do it.
Great. Okay, our first guest interlocutor, did I say that word right? So just say your name and ask your question, please, and we'll let them grab it.
I actually have many names.
Okay, pick one.
I'm the voice of live stream. So all people who are live streaming right now, I'm going to give their questions to you guys.
Fantastic. You are
yeah.
Legion.
But my name is Gustavo Campos, and I work with Burning Man. All right. And so just to note something, we have people from Pennsylvania, LA, San Diego, New Orleans, Brooklyn, Kauai, and Reno. So
Ask a question.
I don't think I have any yet. But they will come. They will come.
Teaser. What a teaser. All right.
My name is Michelle, and I help run a camp that's all watermelon themed. So we change our name each year, but we hand out watermelons. And I love your idea of people, when they have energy, they come and they work a shift, and when they run out of energy, they stop working a shift. But as a theme camp lead who's trying to create structure to make sure that we satisfy that interactivity goal, how do you create more structure or schedules around volunteering and giving gifts and creating schedules?
One of the things that I think is really important is, I don't know how big your camp is. My camp is probably about 30, 35 people. But you get to know over the course of the year people's strengths and weaknesses, and try to design your interactivity around that. We've got morning people, we've got late night people, we've got people that are just going to be, really into the partying aspect, and other people that are really into the organizing aspect, and try to play on those strengths. The extroverts, let them extrovert. The introverts, let them cut up that watermelon, And so I really use the year, we all use the year to think about this and to figure out the best way that we can exploit the strengths of the teammates. And that's how we apply our structure. We let the structure grow organically from what the strengths of the team are. If we have super construction people, our interactivity is going to be more about our infrastructure. Whereas if we have more jolly party people, it's going to be more about creating their interaction with the public.
Okay, so we started when we had 0 shifts. It was all just like show up when you're called to, and this ownership of like making it all work. And then we started to develop a little bit of people were depending on things and expecting things. And so we got more and more into shifts, schedules. And I think we lost a lot of joy in that. There's a lot of feeling of like, if I don't show up, I'm going to get in trouble, instead of, I can't wait to gift to the camp. So I think this is part of the ongoing practice of a theme camp, is trying to find that, how do we do that? And so one of the things that's worked for us really well is, instead of having shifts, we have teams. And so when there's a group of people that's on a team that's responsible for a time of day, then if there's one person who's like, oh my gosh, the love of my life just asked me to go on this parade, and the team will be like, we got you, And so like, as a team, everyone is responsible, and then if there's someone, if the team's down, you might go and ask somebody else to get on your team. But it kind of eases up some of that like absolute, like, I have to choose between the love of my life and letting down my team or my camp.
Thank you for the question. That was great. Next up, step up.
Hello, my name's Emily, or Viking Girl. I'm with an art support camp where Burning Tits are. Woo! Yeah. We have an interactive art piece out in the playa, and my question is, how do you boost interactivity from the participants, from the denizens of Black Rock City? We're out there every night, all week, 9 to midnight, and Monday through Wednesday is pretty good, but Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, nobody stops. I'm pleading, begging. There will be people walking by 20 feet away from me, and they won't stop. How do you get people to participate? How do you get that?
This is going to sound so crass. I apologize in advance. Marketing, branding, right? So if what you're doing isn't working, could you change about what you're doing? I mean, begging and pleading, it doesn't really work. So
yeah, no, it doesn't.
It really doesn't. So maybe you need to come at it from a more organic consent. Maybe maybe you need to come at it from a more organic place about thinking about what you're doing and thinking about a way to share the information about what you're doing and create something that will be more compelling on an instantaneous basis, so that the person that is walking 20 feet away will feel more compelled to participate.
I would also say keep experimenting. So this is kind of building on what Extra Silky is saying. So keep experimenting, try different hours. Be open and available when people do want to come by. That early evening time is a difficult time to get people's attention. So maybe try during those days, maybe 4 to 7 or 5 to 8 or something like that. So that's a possibility as well. Just keep experimenting, try being willing to fail, and then see if something, or changing up what you're offering just a little bit. Keep tweaking it.
I agree that time band is really difficult. In our camp, we would always just close the bar for dinner. We'd say we put a sign up saying closed for maintenance or whatever, and people could still hang out in the front, but we were going to close it. Yeah.
I will say it's flame effects. So we got to have the nighttime.
Yeah.
Midnight to 3. I love those hours at the post office, by the way. The midnight to 3 hours are great.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. I think we got time for one more question and before we wrap it up.
Hi, guys. My name's Jordy, and my apologies, I don't really have a question, but I wanted to make sure to take advantage of this moment to get a hug from John.
Okay, hug line will be over here after this panel. Come on. All right, come on up. Come on up. Woo. Woo. What? Nothing for me, huh? Thanks. Okay, one more question from the ethersphere.
From the live stream voice speaking now. So, from Topher McDaniel, what do you do when people don't show up for a volunteer shift? What do you do?
Can I mention something that kind of underlies a few of these questions? Who you invite into your camp is really important. So setting criteria for who are your campmates. Number one for us is they have to be able to take responsibility for themselves and keep their agreements. And so people actually, we have to have people vouching for someone for us to allow them into our camp. And that's made a big difference. The other thing is that they need to be willing to communicate, like err on the side of too much communication, because you want people who are going to say what's going on for them and not kind of, creating dramas in kind of behind your back or something. So it's people who can take responsibility for themselves and who are willing to communicate if they've got something to say.
So some social engineering. Extra Soki.
Yeah, just real quickly, we're very transparent about it. We let people know throughout the whole process that we really expect you to show up for your shifts. If you're a newbie, the person who brought you and sponsored you is responsible for doing your shift if you cannot perform it yourself. And if, we're strict, we're harsh but firm. And if you're not a newbie and for some reason that you can't sort of do it, we're all friends and we'll step up for each other. But there are definitely people that we have asked to not return because of that.
All right, thank you so much. And thank you, guys. Big round of applause for our panelists. Halcyon, Extra Silky, and Laughing John. Thank you, guys.